So, this video is part of a series called What's Actually in an OP, intended to allow YouTubers the excuse to analyze the lyrics and visuals of opening themes or even endings. If that's up your alley, there's a whole playlist on What the What's channel. At the very least, check out the first video on why lyrics are important. This video is also intended to be part of a tribute series to Kyoto Animation releasing on the anniversary of the day KyoAni's first TV anime aired. Hopefully. So it won't be patroned and the rest will be on the playlist and linked in the description. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's actually in an OP. And yes, I suck with reading lyrics, so bear with me. My cheeks are wet with my loneliness, but I'll be quietly filled with signs of dawn, and they invite me to the sky. Hope is waiting beyond here. That's right, so let's go. Between the phrase of cheeks being wet with loneliness and the rain-soaked windshield, tears are alluded to in the opening of The Sad Day. Even more noticeable as the shift in focus gives the window the appearance of being invisible while some raindrops still remain, making it appear as though they are on Mirai's face. That solitude, that loneliness, is central to the conflicts of both main characters, among others. Akihito's nature as a Yomu and Mirai's cursed bloodline are dangerous, worthy of scorn, worthy of exclusion. For simply their nature, their existences are rejected, forming a disgust of the self that hurts the both of them. Being alone, they will never truly connect to anyone, never be understood, and therefore, they remain resented in the world around them. But while darkness surrounds, ahead there is light. Rather than stay in the past, Mirai is on a train in the first place in search of another day, a brighter tomorrow, the lyrics referring to it as the dawn, inviting Mirai to the sky where hope awaits. That brightness is her reason for taking this journey, the opening taking place chronologically before the series, after she takes on her mission from Izumi regarding the titular Beyond the Boundary, a mission only she is capable of due to her bloodline. In taking on the mission, she attempts to accept her cursed bloodline through fulfilling the purpose she was born for, and if she can accept herself, she may be able to move beyond what she has done in the past. The white amaryllis flower, briefly cut to, symbolizes mourning of the dead, and Mirai spends the opening holding a photograph of herself, Sakura, and Yui as children. The photo was from a time when she had been accepted, when she had a home, but in killing a possessed Yui, she broke that family apart, and in her mourning, she has not moved past the grief of doing so. Without anything to hold on to, or any place to be, she was lost. Even while I'm lost, I go on a journey to find you. Words indicating the start of Mirai's journey are matched with cuts to the other characters. Ai and Aya are seen in a mirror, hinting at their nature as Yomu through framing them in their reflection, creating an image that's similar, but ultimately distinct from its reflection. Hiromi and Mitsuki have no such framing because they are simply human, but the pairs ultimately are cut away from because they are not the object of Mirai's search. Lost, she is told to exterminate beyond the boundary, which rests in Akihito, who the camera doesn't cut away from, only moving to another angle where he looks to the camera. This detail is important, as given that the song is sung from the perspective of Mirai, like Mirai is searching for him, her target, he is searching for her, alluded to in the next lines. My hands felt how our senses differ. I'll catch you and hold you tight. The way our hearts seek one another is the proof of my dream. In looking to the camera, an abstraction of Mirai, Akihito searches for someone he can connect to. However, there is a difference in their search at the start of the series, their mindsets differing, mentioned as Akihito turns, and the sentiment itself is in a line that brings up Mirai's hand shortly before she grasps onto her own. The bandaged hand is where she calls upon her powers, from where she bleeds. Mirai is different from him, at first not believing they could connect. In fact, separating Akihito turning to look at Mirai and Mirai on the train, you have cuts of Mitsuki and Hiromi. However, when they are cut away from back to Mirai, then Akihito, he is still looking, even though his friends still supposedly offer him what Mirai does not have. Because contrary to Mirai's belief, the friends surrounding him are largely there to guard the world from him. The nature of Akihito's existence makes him dangerous, so those who surround him are prepared to kill him if the need arises, or else suffer even more should they hesitate. More similar than Mirai first believed, the fact that they look in different directions similarly matches their differing perspectives at the start. Mirai searches for Akihito to fulfill her mission and accept herself by fulfilling the purpose of her blood, focusing on the photo as it is a memory of when she had such a thing. But Akihito is simply looking for someone else like him, Mirai coming to be the fixation of his gaze. The line regarding the proof of her dream has two meanings. From Mirai's perspective, Akihito being drawn to her is evidence of their bloodlines, the one Mirai wishes to accept of herself. Beyond the Boundary can only be destroyed by her, the last remaining of her blood. But their hearts also seek each other due to their loneliness, because while their senses differ, their hearts come to be united, seeking the other because they don't want to be alone. Every time when we accept each other, I become more attracted to you. I don't want to have sad days anymore. Similarly, not wanting any more sad days, the line is joined with Sakura brandishing her weapon, taken alongside a pact with Fujima, receiving it permanently should she kill Mirai, the closest thing she has left to a remaining sister. Sakura was a normal human, not as easily attuned to the spiritual like her blood sister and her adopted one. Through a weapon that would no doubt consume her if left unchecked, she attempted to worm her way into the world she was distant from, that distance making her alienated from even her own family. But she could enter that world through killing Mirai, becoming a spirit world warrior like Yui, and a murderer like Mirai. Sakura had tried to become more like someone she wasn't, forcing herself to be accepted, but in doing so she was also planning to kill one who had already accepted her for who she was, someone who was there to keep her from the loneliness she'd have had when she had no family left by her own hands. No one wants to have any more sad days, but her method of refusing to accept herself or others only risks bringing more sadness. The note of acceptance is stated directly in previous clips, the visuals depicting a battle against Yomu. While supernatural and atypical, for a spirit world warrior it is merely the norm. These typical events are just another part of the day to those the opening surrounds. But as they linger around the sad days, it should be noted that the shown Yomu serve as an external conflict for Mirai and internal conflict for Akihito. Akihito is effectively a half Yomu, and resented both himself and the humanity that resented him for the nature he had no choice over. Mirai began the series expecting all Yomu to be dangerous, needing to accept the world of Yomu so she might coexist with Aya, Ai, and of course Akihito. And Akihito, through meeting Mirai, came to accept her, able to move past resenting the world or the Yomu within himself. Like Sakura, he could accept who he was, and the world that brought him pain, because while it was a world full of sad days, it was one that gave them each other, for Akihito's feelings were mutual. Mirai too, for her meeting with Akihito, could come to stop resenting herself. The act of accepting each other turns into the joy of living, and surely, the two of us will awaken. Through their togetherness, joy can be found so that they might awaken on the next day, the promise of surely pushing that awakening into the future. The sorrowful days may have been difficult, the struggles harsh, but the day does end. After the struggles against the Yomu is a cut to the Inami household where Mirai grew up, the three taking the picture she looks over, the home she once had before the events that drove her to grief. And following that is a literature club room, the place she would find upon accepting Akihito and herself. Even when her memory was gone, she still had lingering attachment to that home, that place that accepted her. Once again we see the white amaryllis flower, but now with the red one. The red flower is named from the mythological character who stabbed herself with an arrow for the one she loved, the blood eventually sprouting a flower which finally bore the fruit of affection from the one she desired, its color one of passion. While the opening visuals display a single day in the life of its characters, through the lyrics and symbolism that day becomes a representative arc for the entire show, from the meeting, to a gradual acceptance, to the budding love, the new flower representative of Mirai's love for Akihito, and in turn her ability to accept the cursed blood inside her without needing to fulfill her purpose. The past is still there in the form of the white amaryllis. She can't escape her grief, just as Akihito will never stop being a person who resented himself or the world, but they don't have to let themselves be dominated by their pasts. The words mezameru yo, meaning to awaken, sound as Mirai opens her eyes to the dusk. The day has passed, but the tears of loneliness no longer rest on her cheeks from the window, Mirai having awakened to the realization of her feelings. The opening ends with Mirai stepping out of the train. The day of the opening comes to an end with Akihito looking over to where she is before a shot of the moon, the boundary that separates them. The imagery resembles the awakening of Beyond the Boundary, the sky mirrored in the water forming a reflection, similar but different, as Mirai echoes Akihito, similar but different. The song ends on the final line, "Even while I'm lost, I found you." Lost in her loneliness, Mirai was able to find Akihito, and thus herself in a future where she was no longer alone.